Hello, my name is Conrad, host of Lights On, and today we're going to talk about Adam and Eve. So my source is the Bible, and I read the NIV version because it seems to be the most contemporary to how we speak, at least in the United States and in the Pacific Northwest. So I read the NIV version, and today we're going to talk about Adam and Eve. And so a lot of us have heard, maybe we have, maybe we haven't, but the story in school says that Adam and Eve were not supposed to eat from the fruit in the middle. The snake convinces Eve to eat the apple, and then basically man is doomed because of that. And a lot of feminists don't like it because they say that they pit Eve at the bottom and that she got convinced, and how come all this and how come all that. Well, if you read it from the Bible, there's a couple nuances that, I'll let you make your own choice, but the version that we get in school is not correct. And so you should definitely read it for yourself. It's only about a page or two long. It's in Genesis. And so the version goes more like this. So God created the earth, the heavens, and everything underneath it. Then he created man, and he created man in his image. So he created man, and then he thought that the creation wasn't perfect, and he thought that we needed a companion. So he could have made a lot of men, but for some reason he didn't like men only. He said, man needs a companion, and so he made Eve. And the way that the Bible says that Eve was made is that God took a piece of his rib, and from that rib he reconstructed Eve, made her different, made her female, and then he patched that rib back up with a piece of flesh, is what the Bible says, and then there's Eve. So then the Bible says that there was a lot of trees and a lot of fruit in the Garden of Eden, and the only instruction was you can't eat fruit from the middle of that tree. Well, what happens is Adam leaves, and we don't really know where he goes, but he's clearly not around. Eve then gets approached by a walking snake that has legs. And so the snake asks Eve, did God really say that you can't have fruit from that tree? And Eve says, no, he said that we can have fruit from any tree. We just can't have fruit from that specific tree, the tree of knowledge, good and bad, good and evil. And so the snake then rephrases the same question and asks Eve again. And Eve gets convinced to eat the apple or eat the fruit. The Bible just says you can't eat fruit from that tree. So then at some point, but then she tells the snake, did God say that you can't have fruit from that tree? And then she says, no, God said that we can't touch that fruit, and that if we eat it, then surely we will die. So she quotes that back to the snake, or surely we will die. And so after saying that, the snake rephrases the question, asks her again, and then she gets convinced to eat the fruit. Adam then comes back, and then Eve has Adam eat the fruit. Well, after this happens, God gets really mad. He gets upset with the snake, and so he makes the snake slither on its stomach for the rest of its life. And then because Eve had Adam eat the fruit, he said that childbearing was now going to become a painful experience. And then Adam, because he ate the fruit without questioning where it came from, because he just ate it, then he was going to have men work hard and toil and basically not bear very much fruit his whole life. So in one swipe of the sword, the snake gets punished, Eve gets punished, and Adam gets punished, all for doing the one thing that God said not to do, which was eat from the fruit from the middle of the tree. And so, following the themes, was there faith? Yes, they believed in God. Why? Because Eve told the snake that if we touch or eat the fruit, then surely we will die. So clearly she knows that she has some sort of faith because she wants to follow this God. The second one is the fear of God. That's what I call it. It's accountability or the fear of God. But there's no fear of God because with 2 questions, the snake overcame all objections and she was convinced to do it. And sales, usually, especially when I used to sell life insurance, you have to overcome like 10 objections before you get the sale. Eve gave up in 2. The snake overcame 2 objections and then she ate the fruit. So if you succumb that quick, I would say that there's not very much fear of God. I forgot that. So death or vast rewards, in this case it was death. God didn't kill any of them immediately. He just accountability. He made them accountable, and he punished them for doing something that they were not supposed to do. And so a lot of people blame Eve because she gave up in two questions. The snake just rephrased the question and then she gave in. So a lot of people blame Eve for this because she gave in, obviously, and then she fed Adam. But if you think about it from a male perspective, he should have been there. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know, we don't know exactly where he was off. We don't know how long he was off. But it's a very old biblical thought, but the man should have been there to protect his woman at all times. Left someone there in charge to make sure that they don't eat from the fruit from the middle of the tree. And so I would blame Adam. He should have stepped up. He should have been there. And at least when Eve was feeding Adam with the snake right there, it should have set off some alarms. It should have been weird. He should have questioned, because it wasn't fruit that he was normally having. It was fruit from the middle, the forbidden fruit. And so that's the story of Adam and Eve. The next story is that Adam and Eve then have children, and their names are Cain, Abel, which is what this next story is about. They actually have a 3rd child named Seth, where all of everybody that we know comes from. They come from Seth. So the story goes that